Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm going to talk about a pirate game here on PlayStation VR. You can see we've got our candles and our treasure chest. We're on board a pirate ship. I figure having just talked about the Millennium Falcon, which was a space pirate ship, let's talk about a pirate ship in VR. This game is called Heroes of the Seven Seas, and I got it when it was on sale for like $5. I just thought, I looked online and saw some of the videos, and I thought, well, you get to sail a ship and fire your cannons. This might be pretty cool, so I picked it up, and it's pretty good. The graphics are really nice. You can flick through this book here, and there's a whole story to it. And the story takes some interesting twists. I won't spoil any of it, but you get an idea for the interface here. And if we fire up what the game is like, you begin in this sort of seaside town, and it's kind of an early game where you're moving by pointing your head in the direction you want to go, and then you just hit square. You can use the triggers to kind of do quick turning. If I head out this way, you can see there's some ships in the bay. I think that one's mine. No, these are just other ships that you can talk to the various characters about. The interface is pretty neat. It's got that feeling of like early VR, how are we going to do the interface? There's no moving with the thumbsticks or anything. You just point your head, hit square, and it teleports you along. The graphics are okay looking. It's PS2 quality. I tried to get into this door here, but unfortunately that's just not an option. You pretty much get the idea. This is a very, very bare bones front end. You can walk around. It's at least trying to simulate being in a seaside town, but you can't really interact with too many of the characters. You can't go in any of the buildings. But it looks nice, for what little there is that this front end offers. It's trying to look kind of neat and, interesting to the eye. So what we do, we'll just head down here. Now this is my first mate. I actually end up with him later on. And we get into, well, we're going to end up going on one of those ships, but first we have to do the tutorial. So let's leave the town and do that. Now, this is hard to explain. First of all, this looks really good in VR. It is the cartoony level of graphics, but it looks really nice. And you fire by kind of aiming your eyes and pulling the trigger. And then you got to reload. It's actually somewhat similar to the Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 mechanic. And essentially they're just getting you to free yourself here, blow these rocks away, and then you got to turn over and blow those rocks away. So it shows you, oh, okay, this is how you would fire your cannons on either side of the ship. It really is a great mechanic. I wish the game was just a little bit deeper or had more to it. But I think for the $5 that this ended up costing me, I was more than happy to give it a whirl. And you can then move forward. You know what? I'm wrong. That guy that we saw on the edge of the port town, he wasn't actually my first mate. This guy is. Can I ride up to him here and pick him up?
Take me to the galleon.
There he is.
I don't want to sleep in the sea.
Yeah, so he is now a member of our crew. You pick up a few other members as the story progresses. And you sail along, and you're essentially just moving like you would a video game character. Move the thumbstick with your to move forward and backward and side to side. I can't remember if you can go backwards now that I mention it. Then as we approach this first vessel here, a little bit of the combat to give you an idea what that's like. We will actually then board the ship later on. But I just thought I would show you what this looks like. This really gives you an idea of what the combat is like, and it's really good. If they had fleshed this out with more of a story or more other pirates to fight, or I'm not quite sure what I would recommend, I think this could have been a really, really top-class game. It's good, don't get me wrong. but this mechanic works really well. And now, having disabled that ship, we climb aboard to one of the other ways that this game works, where you're in a first-person view and you're essentially just firing your gun. You do this at a few different points in the game, and it actually works really well. Again, it's got that very, very basic early VR feel to it. And now he wants me to go and approach this pirate cove, so we're going to do that. The bells indicate we've got bad guys approaching. You see how at the edges of the screen we got those blinders on, those sort of constricting lines? Those are unfortunately a lot in this game, and although you can turn them off in the options, they do come back on anytime you change to another scene or part of the story. So it's again, it's got that feeling I've mentioned a few times now. Early VR game. Let's reduce the options to make it as comfortable an experience as possible. I think had they made a sequel to this or patched it so that there was more to the game and the ability to turn that off and keep it off, I think this really would have been an excellent, excellent pirate game. You do get a good feeling, much like, I guess like in Battlezone is another good example. That feeling of like, now you got to turn the ship around and you're very aware of where the enemies are around you, and toward the later part of my video here, you're going to see when I'm up against quite a few other ships, that can be pretty challenging. And now, having defeated the outer guarding vessels, we can go into the Pirate Cove. And in here, we get to hang out in the tavern and encounter some other people we can hire for our crew. I end up hiring this white-haired fella later. All these characters, you can talk to them and make a few... I don't think there's any like side path quests or anything. I think they're just largely telling you who they are and what the story is around it. So having hired this white-haired fella here, we're going to go on to another pirate cove, although this one's in a kind of a floating base. And we've got this typhoon in our way. Now, this is by no means trying to be realistic, but it gives you a little something else to try to struggle against. So you want to get around the typhoon, and of course I did this poorly, so it beelined straight for me, and that didn't go very well. Let's reload, try that again. It's not that the typhoon actually seeks you out, it is moving on a random path. I just happened to get in its way. I think sometimes the random element... Oh, looks like it's coming back. Okay, yeah, this time we're going to get past it. That's good. There are a few neat sort of environmental hazards like that in this game. Again, it's a short game. It's maybe only worth the $5 I ended up spending on it, but it shows the possibilities that they could have done, or maybe if someday they do a sequel, I'd be all on board. Yeah, so here's this floating, what do you call that, a Tortuga? Or is that a place? I don't know. There's a name for those little island nations that you see in various pirate movies. Anyway, if we pull up to this gold anchor, we are now at this little settlement. And this is pretty cool. We can, again, walk around, talk to these characters. There's no tavern here. But you get the impression of it being, where a lot of different pirate captains hang out by the patrolling ships. And here, you can actually upgrade your ship. We can select a better hull, better cannon options, all these kinds of things. My crew member seems to be having a chat with that winch, so we'll just let him go ahead and do that. Now we want to destroy the Navy outpost. As the last part of the game, I'll just give you an idea for what it's like. I don't really know why the on the horizon it appears to have a giant golem of some description, but regardless, we do take on some more of the naval battles here. Now I've got another weapon I can fire, this sort of beam from the sky. I can't remember, I think that attacks or does damage to their sails, so firing a cannon. Ooh, got him really good there. Then I've got, I think it's the triangle button. If you hold that in, you can then aim where that shaft of light comes down from the sky. So let's try and take on this base as we finish this video off. Oh no! They've got cannons. We're in trouble. So yeah, Hero of the Seven Seas. This is a really neat pirate game. Looks good. It feels nice with the controls of the ship and all. Wish it had been a little deeper, but yeah, I just thought since I've got another idea for another pirate video I'm going to do next, so I thought I'd combine this with the Millennium Falcon video and just talk about pirates. Oh! Look at them, they've got me. I'm in big trouble now. I think my fortunes are sunk, and so is my ship. So until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.